Afternoon. We've another big weekend. It was a beautiful day. I think we've got another good day weather-wise coming up this Saturday, which is nice. A couple of milestones to acknowledge. 100th game to Tyler Crowhurst this Saturday. He's a field umpire who's still a young fella. Been with us for a little while now, doing his 100th game, which is good. And a big 400 to Rob Errigo in the goals. So one over Tyler and Rob. We did mention at training last week that this Wednesday night there'll be a barbecue after training by the Umpires Association, but just about every Umpires Association committee member is off on holidays or unavailable this week. So they're going to do it Wednesday week. So next week we'll do the training barbecue. Now we did have a quick discussion last week about 25-metre penalties, and I thought I'd just cover it off again because I did have some interactions with a couple of you. And so I just want us all to be really clear on when we should be paying 25s. I'll put in the coaching notes the actual rule in the law book if you want to look at it a bit closer. Obviously, it's 50 metres in the rule book, and we only pay 25s. But it's essentially for delaying the play or inappropriate behaviour which happens after a free kick or mark. So often the discussion comes around, if we're giving a card, a yellow or red card, when we should bang a 25. So as I mentioned last week, if a free kick or mark is awarded first and then you pay another free kick for a yellow or red card incident, that's when a 25-metre penalty is paid. But if there's no free kick or mark and then a red or yellow card incident occurs, there's no need for a 25 in that instance. It was pointed out to me, I did a little bit more research, there are some instances where you would pay a 25 when there's just a one-off indiscretion. Does anyone want to unmute themselves and have a guess at one of those three things? I could have left it till the quiz, but I thought, no, probably worth mentioning out. Ali, you've got an idea?
Yeah, is it like abuse?
No, so abuse would occur. So if you paid a mark or free kick,
Yep.
and then you're abused, it's a 25-metre penalty. But if you haven't paid a mark or free kick, it's just a free kick. It's no 25.
I guess I meant more like a slur against an opposition player along particular lines.
No, so a vilification is a card. Is a red card, and therefore, again, if you paid a mark or free kick before to that team and then they're offended against, you pay 25, but if they haven't been, you don't. So no, it's not what I'm looking for here. These three things are reasonably rare. Come on, we've got some brains on the line. Surely some of you might be able to work it out. Have a crack, have a guess. Barry, you've only done 2,500 games. Surely you could work out one of these. Frank, Matt Harris, anyone else get big brownie points for guessing one of them. Ian Nielsen, having a crack.
I can't quite remember. Is it after when the ball's gone through the goals and something about the all clear and the defensive player gets a free kick against them? Is that so you're taking it from not from the goal square, for example, bring it out in line? I might be completely wrong about that.
Well, that's a good
I haven't explained that real well. I'll give you that, but
so no, I would say in that instance you have awarded a kick to the team to kick in, so that's where they're kicking from, and then an infringement occurs, you then pay 25. So it is like the situation where you paid a mark or free kick and then a 25 is given. So it's not the answer I'm looking for, but good thinking, good guess.
And I don't know the answer, Colin. Sorry.
Nah. Maybe I should give you a week and get you to all work it out and look through your rule books. Frankie, I would have thought you might have been on top of this one. Brian Curtis.
Is it after a count's been done?
Oh, well done. Well done. Good job. Brian Curtis is is a very talented man. He not only umpires with us every week at C grade, but he's also coaching the West Croydon A grade team and plays in their B grade team sometimes too. So Brian, you're a man of many talents. So well done. So a player count. So obviously in that instance, if a player a captain has requested a count, if they get it wrong, it's a free kick and 25 against them. If they get it right, it's a free kick and 25 for them. So that's one of them. One of them we mentioned after the quiz recently. I actually got the answer to one of the quiz questions wrong. And then I came back the following week and mentioned that the rule is actually involving a free kick and a 20 or 50 or 25. So does that ring any bells for anyone?
When a player goes off with a blood rule, it doesn't go across the line, doesn't go through an interchange.
Yeah, so that was a scenario in the quiz. So yeah, basically an interchange offence. So correct, Brian, you got 2 out of 2. Well done. And the third one, I'll drop a hint here, which should allow someone to get it. It was brought in after the 2008 AFL Grand Final when Alistair Clarkson exploited the situation. So they had to come up with a rule to stop the tactic. And essentially, if something occurs, a free kick and a 50, or in our case, 25 is paid. Does anyone remember what that was? I reckon I mentioned it a couple of times on the Zoom. It doesn't happen too often. Cliff?
Was that where
Hang on, Matt. Hang on. Cliff unmute himself first. Oh no.
is that where you've given a free kick and then the player grabs and holds on to the player, doesn't let him go?
You're on the right line. I think, Matt, you've got it, haven't you?
That 2008 grand final was when they deliberately kicked the ball through the behinds multiple times.
No, so that was Alistair Clarkson's a good one for sort of bending the rules a bit. So yes, the deliberate rush was brought in at AFL level, which we don't have because of that grand final. But there was another thing that Clarkson did in that grand final, which they brought in a 50-metre penalty for. Cliff was getting along the right lines, but didn't quite communicate it properly.
Is that blocking like the 1-2 play, like blocking from getting the next play?
Yeah, you're on the right line. So essentially, if someone handballs or kick and they're illegally held and stops them getting to the next contest, a free kick and a 25 from where the ball is paid. So essentially what Clarkson was doing was he was saying someone kicks or handballs, grab hold of them, it stops them running onto the ball, and then lets us set up defensively down the field, which was a very smart tactic. But the rule was brought in to counteract that tactic. So, yeah, they're just 3 cases where 25s are paid straight out without being a follow-on from a mark or free kick. Sean, did you have something you want to add?
Can you explain the second rule regarding the interchange, please?
So, yeah, so where there's an interchange breach, so where the player doesn't go off through the interchange gates, and isn't at our level, we allow players to go anywhere off the ground as long as they're accompanied by a trainer or runner. But if they just don't go through the gates and don't have an official with them, then the penalty is a free kick and a 25. It actually happened early on this year in a game, Westminster-Kilburn, and Kilburn saw it, the umpires saw it, and the umpires were put on the spot. Kilburn were insisting that the player couldn't come back on, which the actually umpires enforced, not really knowing what the rule was. And because it happened midway through the last quarter, they couldn't ring up and find out. So it was a difficult situation. And we put it in the quiz thinking that the umpire was right, but actually they weren't. So yeah, we've done the homework since then to find out what the rule actually is. And essentially, if there's an obvious interchange breach, it's a free kick and 25, and that's it. There's no, the player can come back on. There's no other consequences of that. All right, all 3 are very rare situations. I guess it's important really at the moment that we just get in our head that we're paying 25 for it in nearly all cases for that secondary action after a mark or free kick is paid. Barry?
Cole, I'm not sure if the player's going off with a runner. It's got to be the trainer who's taking him off. A runner isn't taking him off for injury or anything.
Sorry, did I say runner, did I? I meant trainer. I meant
Yeah,
trainer, but I'll actually have to have a look at the I'll look at the rules and regs whether it actually says trainer or whether it says official. I'm not sure, but you're probably right. You're probably trainer. I'll have to find out. But essentially, yeah, if they're being treated, they are, and someone's looking after them from their club, they can go off at any point. And if it's a stretcher, they're off at least 20 minutes. If there's no stretcher, they can come straight back on once they've got the treatment. Ali? You're unmuted yourself, Ali. Did you want to ask something? No?
Sorry, no, that's my car. Apologies.
All good. All right. So I thought that might create a bit of discussion. And it actually resulted from one of our umpires going and Seb Henderson, one of our first year umpires, going through the rule book and you know, asking me some questions about it. So well done to Seb. That was that sort of led me to looking into it a bit more. And I think there was some good discussion points there. But again, you know, those three other cases we talked about don't happen very often. But I guess it's important to know about if they do. All right, in the email I sent out, I'm going to include some information from Shane McMillan, who works in the league office, but he also works for the Turf Cricket Association. They're on a bit of a drive now to get some cricket umpires over the summer, and they've secured a fairly decent pay increase for all the cricket umpires. So if anyone is interested in getting involved in that over the summer, just get in touch with Shane or the contact details I sent in the email. All right, that's all I have on my list. We've got a really, really cool coaching video to have a look at in a minute. Before I do that, is there anyone want to raise anything from the weekend or anything about what we just discussed? All right, if not, I'll get the video up. All right, I won't have the sound up this week. I looked at a bit of the replay of the Zoom last week. I couldn't hear myself talk the whole time because I had the commentators over the top of me. All right. So before we go on to the topic of the coaching session, there's 3 watch your decisions. Brendan Smiles.
Yes.
Have you had a chance to have a look?
No, but that's okay. I'll put my glasses on.
It can get pretty hard to watch without it. So yeah, we'll get you on the time. I know I picked up, well, not picked on you, but asked you previously.
That's okay.
Cliff, you unmute yourself before. You want to unmute yourself again?
Yes.
Have you had a look?
Yes, I had a look at the first one.
All right, very good. You can tell us what you think about number 1.
The first
Hang on,
one.
mate. We'll play it and then you can.
Okay.
He's been put down. The umpire was right there. I think he's trying to get out there.
All right, what'd you make of it, Cliff?
Well, it looked to me like the player took a mark, and the other player with the red and black jumper ran up and pushed him over. I would have played a free kick against him and taken him 25.
Okay. I'll get to your point of view in a minute, and I'm glad that you put that point of view across. Bowsy, you want to have it unmute yourself? Did you agree with the Cliff, or did you have something else to add on that one? You got to unmute yourself first, Bowsy.
Right, okay, should be hear me now, Cole?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, the free kick was there because the guy pushed him down, but I don't know whether I would have paid a 25 or not.
Hang on. So the mark was taken.
Yeah.
And so if you think there was a push, it is a 25.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't see clearly on I haven't seen it. So
okay. All right. So I'll cut to the chase here.
Yeah.
if you believe that there is a legitimate push, don't hesitate 25.
Yeah.
I actually agree with Stefan in this case that he didn't do anything to warrant the player falling over. That to me, it was a clear one where the player has just jumped backwards trying to milk a 25. Now, if there is somewhat of a push and the player makes more of it than they should, still pay the 25. But in this instance, I don't think he almost hardly touches him and the guy jumps backwards. So if it's a clear case of staging, as this case is, don't get sucked in. But if there's staging and there's a push, pay the 25 for a push, okay? Because the player coming in shouldn't have to, shouldn't do that. But in this case, the guy on the mark really doesn't do anything wrong at all. All right, but don't not pay a 25 because the guy is like milking a little bit more than they should. But in this case, I don't think it's a 25 origin. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, that's what I meant. No 25, but the free was there. Yeah.
Well, it's not a free. I think it was a mark.
The mark was there. I meant, yeah, the mark.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So, Sean, did you want to unmute yourself? Have you had a chance to have a look at the video, I guess? No, just shake. No, all good. Tom Hamper, there's a name I haven't seen on the Zoom before. Tom, you want to unmute yourself?
I can do. Can you hear me?
Yeah, mate.
There might be some noise in the background with the kids, so apologies.
All good, mate. Did you get a chance to have a look at the coaching video?
Yeah, I had a quick look at it before the meeting.
Beautiful,
so,
mate.
Yeah,
I'll play the second one, and then you tell us what you think.
Yep.
Third night, Westminster 3, played 10.5 minutes. What's happening here?
What do you think?
From the angle, it's hard to tell what sort of contact he makes, I guess. But he has definitely deliberately run through that player behind play. So that could be maybe a reason for a free kick, but then the player has gone down pretty easily. So, but from the angle, it's hard to tell whether he swung his arm at him as well.
Okay, I don't think there's any problem with the angle. I reckon it's pretty clear cut, but thanks for your thoughts. And you are doing extremely well in your first year. All right. Frank, I like asking you because you're pretty clear cut on.
Yeah, so definitely before it looks like the throw-in was about to occur, player comes in and puts player to ground. Again, I think Tom mentioned really well, you probably don't get a great view of if there's a strike or not from the vision, but definitely a free kick warranted in this instance.
Okay. I reckon you guys are being a bit kind here. He has lined him up. The guy had no idea that he was going to be contacted. He's basically, he has charged at him. In my mind, this is a red card. This is a player who has picked off that player, charged at him, put him to ground. And if you pick up on it, which unfortunately the umpire on the day didn't see it, he needs to be carded. Now, if you are not as strong as I am and not convinced as I am that it's an intentional hit off the ball, then maybe you could pay a yellow. But that's a red card. So if you guys want to go back and have a look at that vision and you see something similar, then I want strong action on that. There's a definition of charging in the laws of Australian football where it basically says, unreasonable contact where a player isn't expecting it, whether the ball was within 5 metres or not. It's there designed to stop players being picked off. And, I didn't like that one at all. So there you go. All right, third one. Mark Goods. I wasn't going to ask you about the first example.
I'm glad you didn't.
Well, you actually would have agreed with my assessment on it, I think. you'd probably pay a free kick against the bloke that went to ground. Anyway, we won't go there. All right, next one. An example.
Yep.
All right, what's the thoughts on that one?
Yep, the Goody Saints guy didn't have eyes for the ball, and his sole objective was to block the other guy in red. I thought the free kick was correctly paid.
Yep, spot on. I actually paid from the outer zone umpire, and these support free kicks, we used to call it overruling, but support free kicks whereas an off the ball infringement are really good to pay because they're a bit hard to pick up as the umpire in charge. But essentially, in a ruck contest where all players should be going for the ball, whether the ball's within 5 meters or not, that's an illegal block. He's turned his back. He's got no idea where the ball is, and all he's trying to do there is stop the player running at it. We've seen a bit of talk about taggers this week. That's the type of thing as a tagger you need to be aware of and pay free kicks if it's that obvious. All right, let's get on to some good examples about positioning and running. There's some stuff here I really like. So, and urgency is the key. And a lot of these examples are from Div 1 umpires, and they're doing Div 1 because of what you see in this video. But you'll also see a couple of examples from guys that perhaps aren't as athletic as the Div 1 umpires that are still working their ass off and doing their best to get in the right position. So let's have a look at the urgency on a boundary throw in here. I think it's Paul Smitherin. So he's worked his way in, gets side on. The moment that the ruck has taken place, he sprints to get inside. So his first few steps, a real change of pace after the throw up, and nice bit of adjustment there from Hazy. But it was the trigger point after the ruck contest that I really liked in that example. And Paul started back towards the boundary line, worked his way in, got in the right position to see the ruck contest, and then sprinted back inside. With this one here, so that's a free kick paid there by Lamb. But what I put it on for was Andrew Crosby coming in as umpire number 2. Really, I mean, Cros is obviously one of our best umpires, and that's because of the effort he puts in. It was when you have to come down to take over the set kick, do it with urgency, do it sprinting just like as best as you can, like Cros did there. So this one here, so this is an example of an umpire that's probably not one of our best athletes. I mean, he's not getting any younger, but watch the effort that Greg Van Onen has here when he knows he has to work hard to keep up with the play. He sees that the player's on their loose, so he's going as fast as he can, doesn't slow up, realizes the play is going to be in the forward lines and he needs to be there. So it was just good urgency from Greg to do what was required. So it doesn't always mean that you have to be sprinting flat out 100% of the time, but one of the things I'll say to umpires, if you want to reach the higher divisions, never walk, never stand still when you're in charge of the play. So you should always be adjusting, keeping in mind that you're 20 to 25 metres from the play at all times. This first one I really like. I think it might be Stefan, who unfortunately is not umpiring with us this year, but he has to move back to get a position. The ball comes towards him, so he moves back. He's always moving around, adjusting. So it was just staying 20, 25 metres from the play at all times. So similarly here, it's Matt. The ball comes towards him, so he backs out. It's just those steps back to create the space, and he gets a really good look at the contest and realises there's no obvious and blatant free kicks and lets it go. But it's just those slight adjustments. Again, Paul moving here, keeps on moving, pays a free kick because he's in a good position to see what the free kick is for. But yeah, just not standing still, always adjusting, keeping in mind that you're trying to create distance between you and the player with the ball. And so the reason you want to keep moving around a pack is to see the ball player's head and shoulders. So you'll see here, there's a pack on a muddy day. Don't stand still just because you feel like you might be in a position that you're happy with. Just keep adjusting, keep moving around. You don't have to be super fast in this instance, but just don't stand still. So similar here, I think it's Pat. He's a good position there, 20 metres around. He doesn't just be happy with where he is. He's always on the move. And it stops a player getting in his way from seeing ball players' head and shoulders. Similar here, I do find this with women's footy, you do have to keep moving around. It's a very congested game at times. So keep moving around the packs. And if you find yourself having trouble seeing the ball players' head and shoulders, just put in a couple of quick steps. So anticipation. So this is where I love this example here. This is where you don't necessarily have to be the fastest runner around to know how to do this. It's reading the play, seeing that the ball is gonna move from where you are down the field, and running and sprinting before the player actually kicks it. So this is Adam Forster, who having some time away from us this year, but he did have Div 6 A-grade grand final. Adam's a really strong, good umpire, but not the most athletic. He would definitely say that. You just watch him here though. He sees that the players are in the loose. He's on the move ahead of where the player is. Keeps running ahead, anticipates, and at the end of the day, he gets to be almost side onto the contest because of his anticipation. So that was excellent running from a guy that isn't known for being good running. So here, Hazy, he sees again the play is going towards the end where he needs to get to. He just puts some quick steps in to anticipate that they're going to. And here, watch Matt go here. He's on his way. He's going to have to be down this end. The umpire's up the other end, and he's perfectly side on because of the anticipation of reading the play there. So it's easier in the higher grades where the skills are better. You can read it a bit more, but it's worth whatever level you're doing, trying to anticipate what the players are going to do and start moving in their direction before the ball's handball to kick. So when you call for a ball in, it always looks impressive, sprinting in and having a presence, but it's not just for looks. It's actually about being there when it matters. And often in a pack situation, you can have players having obviously push and shove or getting a bit worked up. And if you sprint in and have that presence, they're less likely to carry on with it. So you see some examples here of the ball up being called for and just running in as quickly as you can to get there. Obviously, nothing's happening there, but just having the presence is important. Similar here. So you're seeing the same sort of faces, Croz and Hazy and Paul Smitherin, and again, they're all our top umpires because they do these little things that make the difference between being a top umpire and a lower division umpire. So here, Nathan May, who's off doing marathons this year, but he had a great year last year. Just that sprinting in, and they don't just do it once. It's over and over throughout the game. And so, yeah, when you have to go, you have to go. And it's just putting that 100% effort in. So you'll see here, the ball comes out quickly. Paul knows that he has to get down into the end zone, and he's working his ass off to be there. So just another example here where Alex, who is a very good athlete, doing the same thing, really putting in the hard yards when he has to move. And the last one's from our D1 grand final last year. Big long kick and having to work hard to get there. At the start of the game, when the players are fresh, sometimes you get that quick ball move and you have to respond. So last message, always work hard, as positioning is a key to good decision making. So just some examples of some of our really good umpires doing what's required with the running and positioning. So I did enjoy putting that coaching session together. Any questions or comments from that? Anything else before we wind up? All right. Very good. Enjoy that. We'll look forward to seeing you at training if you come along this Wednesday night. And I've got to get busy now getting the appointments together. It just keeps on going week after week, but yeah, we all love it, and that's why we keep doing it. We'll see you on Wednesday night.